And Al Lerner, Movies and Shakers. We saw the film in Chicago.
Oh, great.
Yes, we did.
I think I saw you there, no?
You may have,
Yeah.
but we didn't get to do an interview. But
Okay.
we are now.
Okay, hey, how are you?
Fine. I want to know, when you shot this, it was during COVID.
Yeah.
How did you get such intense close-ups? I understand that you had to kind of use camera a different way.
Yeah, well, what we did is we kind of pulled away the camera operator, and we attached the camera to the end of kind of an arm, and so the operator was in the next room next door kind of operating. It was very interesting. It took away a little bit of the naturalness of like the in the blood moment that an operator could have, but it also allowed us to be a little bit more safe.
People are incapable of not caring.
You started this 10 years ago.
Yes.
And Mr. Aronofsky talked to you right away. And you were apprehensive or excited? Or both?
I didn't know what to think. I mean, if you can imagine, just having the play produced in a 125-seat theater in New York City felt like I had scaled Mount Everest. I mean, it was just like, finally I was like, because all I wanted to be was a working playwright in New York City, and finally I had this play at one of my favorite off-Broadway theaters. And so when Darren called me and said, let's meet and let's talk about the movie version, I remember I was downtown when I got the telephone call, and I lived and still live up in very far north Manhattan. And so I have a very long subway ride when I'm downtown back home. And I remember just sitting on the subway kind of clutching my bag, being like, I'm just trying to wrap my mind around it. But to Darren's credit, he always showed me so much respect and generosity. It was never like, thank you for the script, please go away. You know, like I worked with him very intensely on the script over many years, and I was on set the entire time, worked with all the actors really, really closely. So it's been a really like a writer's dream.
Sammy, your character, especially Charlie, when you're creating that character, are you becoming that character? What's your relationship between your mind and the page in that character?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think I realized with The Whale that my best writing is going to come from an intensely personal place, which is not the easiest thing. I mean, it puts you in a very vulnerable place, but I think ever since The Whale, all of my plays, maybe The Whale more so than almost any of them, are kind of auto-fiction. You know, like they take parts of me. None of it is directly autobiographical, but listen, you know, I grew up gay in Idaho, and I was teaching expository writing when I wrote this play, and I went to a fundamentalist Christian school and self-medicated with food for a long time in my late teens and early 20s. So yeah, I mean, I think the answer is yes. I have to kind of live the play with him as I'm writing.
People are amazing.
We used close-ups when it was time to use a close-up. It was there's always the right moment to use a close-up, and it's usually when something emotional or something you want to underline, or something where an actor is doing something that is interesting, you want to get closer to them.
There's a very distinctive look to the frame of this movie. You and Matthew Libatique, what was the discussion around the framing, and what is it going to get? What are we going to get out of that special framing?
About the framing. So it's called 4:3, which is more of a square ratio. It really comes down, this film is really about the performances and about the actors. The set is great, but it's a room, so I wasn't very interested in seeing the books on either side of the character's head. I was very interested in seeing the actors.
Last question.
Yeah.
Were there any scenes where you didn't bump heads, but you had different visions?
Between me and Darren?
Yes.
To be honest, it was always really collaborative, and even if we had different ideas about what the scene might be, the great thing about making a film was that like I would sit there either on set or slightly offset with a monitor, and if I was like, you know what, I think we need to get a take like this, Darren would either come out and talk to me, or I'd go on to set and talk to Darren, and we'd get the take. And so then, you know, I always knew that we had all the different versions and all the different ideas, and I was really nervous because I wasn't part of the edit. And so when I saw the first rough cut, my heart was kind of beating out of my chest, because I was like, I've never done this before. What is this? What could it be? But about 8 or 9 minutes in, I was just like, oh, he just did it. Like, he did it exactly how I hoped he would. So I feel very lucky.
Well, thank you very much for talking
The
to us.
relationship with meatball subs will never be the same.